June 18, 1815, the fields south of Brussels are a sea of mud after a night of relentless rain. On a small ridge, Napoleon Bonaparte surveys the sodden landscape, his final gamble about to begin. Just months ago, he was exiled on Elba. Now he commands an army, risking everything for one last shot at glory. Across the valley, Wellington's allied army, British, Dutch, Belgian, and German, waits in a strong defensive position. Napoleon, ever confident, believes his veterans will crush the enemy. He underestimates Wellington and the coalition. The ground is too wet for an early attack. Napoleon's cannons, usually devastating, are nearly useless in the mud. He waits for the ground to dry, unaware that every minute brings the Prussian army closer. Soldiers on both sides prepare in tense silence, knowing the fate of Europe hangs in the balance. This is more than a battle, it's the climax of 2 decades of war and revolution. Napoleon, once a hero to some and a tyrant to others, faces his ultimate test. The world holds its breath, waiting to see if the emperor can perform one last miracle. The stakes, the future of Europe, the legacy of revolution, and the fate of an empire. The mud, the delay, and the gathering storm clouds set the stage for history's most famous battle. Napoleon's overconfidence and the weather will shape everything that follows. The armies are ready. The drama is set. On this muddy field near Waterloo, the story of an era will end. The emperor's last gamble is about to begin. The world watches, waiting for the thunder to break. Why did Waterloo matter so much? Because Napoleon had changed Europe forever. His armies toppled monarchies, spread revolutionary ideals, and redrew borders from Spain to Russia. The old powers, Britain, Prussia, Austria, Russia, saw him as a threat to their very existence. After years of war, they finally united to stop him. Waterloo was Napoleon's last chance to reclaim his empire and reshape Europe. A victory could have shattered the fragile alliance and forced peace on his terms. The battle was a clash of worlds. Napoleon's ambition and meritocracy versus the coalition's tradition and monarchy. The future of Europe's political and social order would be decided in a single day. Would revolution continue, or would the old order return? Everything hung in the balance on that muddy Sunday. Napoleon's return from exile was audacious. In 1814, defeated and exiled to Elba, he seemed finished. But in February 1815, he escaped, landing in France with a handful of loyal soldiers. As he marched north, regiments sent to stop him joined him instead, swept up by his charisma. The king fled Paris. Napoleon reclaimed the throne without a fight. The 100 Days had begun, a testament to his magnetism and the loyalty he inspired. He rebuilt his army, knowing the coalition would strike fast and hard. His only hope attack before his enemies could unite. Napoleon was no longer master of Europe, but his veterans believed in his genius. He had to win quickly, or lose everything. The stage was set for a final, desperate campaign. Surrounded by enemies, Napoleon prepared for his last roll of the dice. The eagle had returned, but could it soar again? The fate of France and Europe would be decided at Waterloo. The world braced for the storm. Napoleon's return shocked Europe's rulers into action. At the Congress of Vienna, they declared him an outlaw and pledged massive armies to destroy him. Britain, Prussia, Austria, and Russia each promised 150,000 men. In Belgium, Wellington assembled a mixed force. Experienced British veterans and less reliable Dutch, Belgian, and German troops. To the east, Blücher's Prussians, driven by revenge, prepared to strike. Wellington and Blücher agreed to support each other if attacked. Napoleon's only chance: drive a wedge between them and defeat each army separately. He needed speed, surprise, and a decisive early victory. The campaign would be a race against time. The fate of his empire would be decided in the fields of Belgium. The final confrontation was inevitable. The campaign began with lightning speed. Napoleon crossed into Belgium, splitting Wellington and Blücher's armies. He defeated the Prussians at Ligny, but they retreated north, not east, still a threat. At Quatre Bras, Ney failed to break Wellington, who withdrew to a strong defensive ridge at Mont Saint-Jean. Then, the rain came, turning the fields to mud and crippling Napoleon's artillery. He delayed his attack, hoping the ground would dry. This gave the Prussians precious hours to regroup. and marched toward Waterloo. Every minute of delay brought Blücher's army closer. The weather handed the Allies a crucial advantage before the first shot was fired. Napoleon's plan for a quick, decisive victory was slipping away. The stage was set for a battle shaped by mud, rain, and lost time. The fate of Europe would be decided in the coming hours. The storm was about to break. The battle began with a French attack on Hougoumont, a fortified farmhouse. What started as a diversion became a brutal, all-day struggle, tying down thousands of French troops. The main French assault came in the afternoon, 18,000 infantry advancing on Wellington's left center. Allied artillery and musket volleys tore into the French, then British heavy cavalry charged, smashing the attack but overextending and being decimated in turn. The battle hung in the balance, both sides bloodied. Marshal Ney, misreading the situation, launched massive cavalry charges against British infantry squares. For 2 hours, French horsemen hurled themselves at unbreakable walls of bayonets. The cavalry's courage was undeniable, but the attacks were futile and costly. Napoleon's elite cavalry was wasted against resolute defenders. The French could not break Wellington's line. The struggle became a test of endurance and nerve. Both armies were battered, but neither would yield. The outcome would hinge on reinforcements and one final assault. As French cavalry battered the Allied squares, a new threat appeared: Prussian troops marching onto Napoleon's right flank. Blücher had kept his promise, bringing fresh forces after a grueling march. Napoleon, expecting Grouchy to block the Prussians, was caught off guard. Now, forced to fight on two fronts, he diverted precious reserves to hold back the Prussians. The battle for Plancenoit became as fierce as the main fight. With time running out, Napoleon gathered his last hope, the Imperial Guard. Around 7 p.m., they advanced up the ridge, veterans who had never known defeat. Wellington's guards rose and fired a devastating volley, breaking the Guard's attack. The unthinkable happened. The Imperial Guard retreated. Panic spread through the French ranks. La Garde recule! The French army's morale shattered. The retreat became a rout. The end was swift and total. As the Imperial Guard broke, Wellington ordered a general advance. The French army collapsed. Prussian cavalry pursued the fleeing soldiers mercilessly. In 10 hours, nearly 47,000 men were killed or wounded. Napoleon escaped, but his reign was over. He abdicated and was exiled to St. Helena, never to return. The Napoleonic era ended. The eagle was caged for good. Europe's map was redrawn at the Congress of Vienna, restoring monarchies and creating a new balance of power. The battle ushered in a century of relative peace, Pax Britannica. Waterloo became a symbol of final defeat, a turning point in history. Small moments, rain, mud, Grouchy's absence, Hougoumant's gate, shaped the outcome. The battle showed how chance, error, and courage can change history. Waterloo was not just the end of one man's ambition, it was the bloody birth of modern Europe. The world would never be the same.